All right, I hope everyone is just as excited for me to reach this point in Doodling with Purpose because we're now reading actual stela, like meaning things that are actually from ancient Egypt because we're now equipped with the vocabulary and structure to do that. So as we talked last week, and we went over all of the vocabulary that was going to be needed, so maybe you've already translated this, the point is, looking at the full scene, you have to remember the biggest hint about hieroglyphics is the scene itself can act as a determinative, meaning everything drawn essentially tells you what you're reading. So we'll see that at the conclusion of today. All right, so looking at what we're reading, the first part today, you can physically see this is a man, and what's he doing? He's spearing fish. It's going to be a big shocker that this is going to turn out to be the hieroglyphs for someone spearing fish. And again, the other side, you can see somebody kind of throwing a boomerang, holding some birds there. So again, the determinative, the entire scene is going to help tell you what you're reading. Now, as far as how to read it, you'll see these arrows here pointing towards the glyphs. So we actually have an example of a left to right and a right to left on the same exact stela. So again, refresher, you're going to read towards the animals' heads. So every time you sit down to read, look which way the animals are facing. So in the case of the glyphs appearing above the man spearing fish, you can see based on the animal heads that we are going to be reading right to left. We're going to go towards the animal head. So that first verb, which you should be able to pull out there, to spear or spearing. We know it's spearing because of the double consonant, the two T's. Gee, what a shocker. Again, you can see the determinative of the entire scene helps us to translate this because we can see what the man is doing. He is physically spearing fish. And again, we know the tense because of the double consonant. All right, so what I've done here is I've broken up each of the different words. I've drawn just a little purple line there, separating them to help you out. So the second word, we see the glyph for a fish with 3 stroke lines under it. And hopefully you remember from our vocabulary from last week that fish is pronounced ram, R-M, which can either be shown as a determinative with strokes, making it an ideogram, or it could be the R glyph and the M glyph. All right, so let's continue along. We see our first 2 words, spearing, the second word, ram, fish. That third word there, so that is the papyrus reed and the water sign, which translates to I-N, in, which we know is the preposition by. So far we have spearing fish by. All right, can you see how you can actually, can you pull out the glyphs, the words there, and see how they're written right to left, not left to right. All right, so our fourth word, which is on the second line, it's the first word on the second line, is our proper noun. This is snowbee, S-N-B-I. We covered this in the vocabulary, and this is telling us who is doing the spearing. It's Snowbee, and we know that because Snowbee, it's his tomb. We're inside of his tomb. So again, the fact that we're in his tomb, and we have a determinative, or rather a painting of a man spearing fish, and then it says, spearing fish by Snowbee. That last word there, ma'aharu, which hopefully you should be familiar with. And again, we're reading this right to left, noticing the way the ho, that first line, as well as the arm points. And that's ma'aharu, the justified, which makes the entire sentence, spearing fish by Snowbee, the justified. In other words, the great Snowbee, the justified, R.I.P. Snowbee, is spearing fish. What's really important for today's lesson is that you look at the freeze frame here of the actual glyphs on the stela and see how you can pull them out, transliterate, and translate them. And again, since we went through the vocabulary last week, maybe even hopefully you have already done this because you could be ahead of the class. All right, next week we're going to look at the other side of the stela, which again, you can look at the entire stela as a determinative. And here we see a man holding what looks kind of like a boomerang, and then we have another figure of a woman there holding a bird. All right, so let's jump into that next week. Again, please like, please share, please comment. It all helps to support this channel. Thank you guys for watching. Congratulations on making it this far, and see you next week for more Doodling with Purpose.